Willkommen, bienvenue, and welcome back to Crash Mechanic with Lyte. And I'm just here, riding on my carousel. Shiny, shiny new carousel. Goes round and up and down. And takes advantage of my manual transmission, so it can go even slower. So if you just want a nice, leisurely ride on a carousel, you can slow it on down. And then if you want to kick it back up a notch, or even a notch further, or a notch further than that, or if you want to make all of your friends sick, you've got various speeds that you can go around. And if you take a close look at my face, it's terrifying! Yep, pretty scary. It's a little rough on the frames at the moment, but like I've said before, they're probably going to optimize this quite a bit, so you'll get the same fear factor without the slight slideshow quality. So let's zoom back out, and if you disengage the gears, it'll slow right back down. And you can slow it to a crawl. And then the biggest flaw in this design is that since the up and down speed is, it's not strictly random, but it's not uniform across them. I like the multi-level effect that you get. Little path down the middle. If you stop it at a particular time, they might end up resetting to the top position instead of the bottom position. So you want to catch yourself on the way up and stop it such that you stay at the bottom. Because if you're at the top, the ceiling is like a block or two too low, and you'll end up getting stuck in the roof, and it's really annoying. But then you can just get to a point where you want to stop, and you just disengage the gears, and you stop. It's possible to hook up all of these chairs to the mechanisms such that if everyone agrees you can go at a certain speed, you can set it up such that if anyone wants to go faster, you go faster. There's plenty of room for logic in this setup, because up top there's only a little bit of room taken up by the posts, but the rest is air. Inside of this area is air, and a lot of the bottom is still air as well. So let's go and take a look under the hood. Is it on this side or the other side? It's on the far side. Okay. So we're going to take a little look under the hood. We got a nice little skirt down here. We got some nice depth up there. I personally like adding class to anything because you can make this bare bones and it'll spin around. But it's important for things to look nice too. So as you can see, I use wheels to move it around. You can try using a bearing to move the whole thing, but I didn't want to have to worry about the torque put on the bearings and the effect you might get from having that much mass being pushed around by just the bearings. And you can see these get a little scooshed, even just attached to the wheels in something that's perfectly balanced. Also, you can see down here that it pushes down into the stand. There's a really hard counter to it moving away by having it latch in under this immovable structure. That's relatively important when you get up to the higher speeds. Relatively low speeds stay balanced, but the physics starts to break down when you get up to the highest speed of one of these engines, and heaven forbid you start adding them together. So the current setup is just connected to the one chair, right over there, with these 4 buttons for these 4 engines, and then one controller for the up-down motion. So this, it's just the manual transmission as I demonstrated in the car video. When you have multiple bearings stacked in a row, they multiply their various speeds because they move relative to each other. So you can get multiple additive speeds using this setup here with the pipe bearing, pipe bearing, pipe bearing. And that works pretty well, particularly with the amount of torque you get from these electric engines. The up-down motion are fairly simple piston designs. The 3 parts rotate in parallel to each other. So this part pushes this way, this part pushes that way, and this part rotates that way, like so. So even if there wasn't something constraining it, it would still push this bar straight up and down. Now, unfortunately, the faster you go, the momentum tends to push it onto the sides and the friction stops it from moving. So when you're going at top speed, you're not going up and down. It just can't handle it. But that is pretty much all there is to this design. If you don't know how to make the pistons work, it's really just one of them goes in one direction, the third one goes in the opposite direction, and the one in the middle is more or less the sum of the two. Granted, the inverted sum, but still, I have it going 45 degrees here, 45-ish degrees here, starting from 90, and then 9 degrees here. That math might not have made a whole lot of sense to you, so I'm going to come over to this one and show you this again, because the numbers are always the same. So you move it 45 and move it back, move it 90 in the opposite and back, move it 45 with that one and back. And then this 45 is for the twist, such that you've got, up top, you've got the 8 sets of chairs, so this can seat 16. So this set here is rotated 45 degrees because it's halfway between this guy and the one that's at 90. You could make an even larger one and seat like 32. I don't know if you'd be able to get enough torque on the wheels to make it move, but there's a lot of mass here. Because yes, the platforms are wooden, but this tile is medium weight. Those platforms are metal because I like the look of it. The table things are lightweight, but the piping is medium. So we've got quite a lot of medium, quite a bit of light, and a little bit of heavy all in this thing. The lights are just for decoration. I don't think you can turn them on and off using any sort of connection yet, but I think that would be really awesome if we had controllable lights that some input could change, because I would love to use these lights to indicate which gears are currently active. But alas, they don't have a circle when you try to connect to them. It's a shame at the moment, but it is how it is. So yes, you could likely also add some way of making this move around, but this would be a very ridiculous car to try to get going anywhere. You could put this on the bed of a giant truck and take it places, but in this land, there's not a whole lot of places you could get to without it falling off. So we'll get back on here. We'll start up the up-down motion, and then we'll start the thing rolling so we can exit with me just having a nice little ride on my carousel. So if you've got more suggestions for future projects for me to work on, or if you've got ways of improving this without adding slaughter and mayhem, feel free to leave a comment. And otherwise, have yourselves a great day, and I will see you in the next episode of Scrap Mechanic with Lyte.